Cool, cool, cool. All right. Well, happy Friday. It is Friday the
Right.
16th, and we are live. This is our live show. And I am, again, Keisha. I am one half of the host of the Regal Mindset podcast show. And my lovely co host, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Absolutely. I am Joy, the coach. I'm your millionaire, your mystic, your mindset transformer. And I'm the other half of Regal Mindset, and we have a story for you tonight.
Absolutely. Hey, listen, I always love these shows that we get to talk about, our personal experiences and our likes and our dislikes and things that, we've seen in the community or, in our upbringing. I'm sorry. But so tonight's episode is about clout chasing, right? And I think it was really, I guess, around some of the stories that's in the news now. Like, for example,
Mhm.
Simone Biles, is it? Is that how you say her last name?
Yes, Simone Biles,
Yeah,
an
yeah.
amazing, extraordinary Black woman.
Okay. Yeah, yeah. And she just, what, two, I think she won two medals in the recent Olympics that was over there in Paris. But she's been a decorated gymnast for quite some time now. And
Mhm.
like we've all seen in the news cycles that, her mother is now coming forth. And from what we understand, Simone was adopted by what I think her grandparents. Is that
Correct.
okay?
It was her grandparents. It's actually her mother's father and his wife, her
Okay.
and her sister.
Ah, yeah. Okay. Cool, cool, cool. So
So
the good
go
thing, I
ahead.
guess, and that's I didn't mean to cut you off, but the good thing in that scenario is that she was adopted by family members because oftentimes, more than not, they are outside of the family. So that was a good thing, I'm sure, for
Right.
her.
One decorated. She has 11 medals.
Ah, beautiful.
She has performed. It's no word to describe her performance. It's no word to describe her etiquette, her presence. It's just been absolutely phenomenal. She deserved every bit of it.
Yeah.
Now she's in retirement at age 27. She has these multi-million dollar deals, all of this. And her mother wants to use the opportunity. Her father, he hasn't been in the media, but her
Okay.
mother has. And it's, to me, it's in very it's a lot of it's very distasteful
Mm,
because she's 27. You had I think she was like 3
okay.
when she was taken away. So you had 24 years to say, hey, I want to tell my side, because that's what she told social media. She
Yeah.
told social media she wants Simone to reach out to her so that they can have a conversation, and that because the sister talks to her.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
so the sister talks to her. But Simone, of course, living her best life,
As she should.
she's like, I want her to reach out to me so that we can talk and I can tell my side. In 24 years, you don't have a side, in my opinion, because
Mm,
you could no, it wasn't stated that I was kept away. It was, I relinquished my children because of the state that I was in
mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
to somebody who raised them. You lost them to foster care. He went and got two girls, raised them until they were eligible for adoption. Then he adopted them. And now you're like, I want to tell my story because you're a cashier at Save a Lot.
Mm.
You are, you just had a run in with the law 2 years ago. So where, why? I'm lost on that. Where and the why.
Oh, man, there's so much there, right? I'm going to say this first. I want to say congratulations to Simone on all your accomplishments, not just this recent Olympics. So that goes for you. She deserves it. But even outside of that, so let's start from the beginning, right? So from what I understand, and all of what you said is what I know as well. The mother, probably very young or at a place where she was using drugs, from what I understand.
Mm-hmm.
Father
And
said,
the father, both of them.
right, right. So they're both, in a very bad position, right? It's in terms of parenting. And Simone's biological grandfather on her mother's side said to the mother, you can't, he's not going to allow you to continue to come in and out of the kid's life. So if you're not
Exactly.
clean, stay gone. And it sounds like one of the sisters probably has a little bit more grace, or maybe, I
The
don't know.
younger one. Right.
Right. To her mother, and has, remained in contact with her, or at least have conversations with her. And even as I'm talking about this whole scenario, it's actually in my life too, and I'll circle back to that.
Mm-hmm.
But so Simone feels as though it sounds like she's open to it, but she's waiting on her mother to reach out to her. And even just that, right? Just being open to having this woman who has not been present, right? Who has given up her rights to be a parent, and who has, in large part, not even reached out even before, let's say the last 10 years, right? Because even leading up to all the accolades and the things that she's done in her professional
Mm-hmm.
career, she could have reached out 10 years ago, 15 years ago, you know what I mean? And she hasn't. So that, for me, again, I'm on the outside looking in. For me, that says a lot about the mother, right? And I would be a little
Yeah.
hesitant as to why she wants to show up now.
Right. Because we're looking at, again, 11 Olympic medals, 30 world championships here. You had years to say, hey baby, let's talk. And
Yeah.
because at this point, what is your purpose? And she brought up, the mother brought up about not being welcomed at the wedding, or not getting the invite. I wouldn't
Oh
have
yeah.
invited you either.
Yeah.
You don't get to share in these moments, when you didn't contribute to these moments. Thank you for
Yeah.
giving me life. Just
Yeah.
like the Bible says, honor thy mother and thy father, that thy days may be long and it may be well with you. So
Mm-hmm.
she honored her because she acknowledged her, so, but she recognizes her grandparents as her parents because legally they are.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So it's well with her, you know.
Yeah.
And so you don't get to share in those moments just because you have a title of parent, well, mother or
Mm-hmm.
father. You don't get to share in those moments. You have to be okay with that child at any age welcoming you in, because we don't know what happened. We know it was centered around drugs,
Mm-hmm.
but we don't know what happened to Simone. You have a good memory at 3. We don't know, what all happened to them to where she wants to maybe protect herself,
True.
or the fact that you're getting, close to $500 million worth of endorsements now. Mama, stay home. You had the opportunity when I was in the Junior Olympics, when I was tumbling in, tumble class. But I mean, not just with her, is and then after her mom did the interview, her parents, the ones that legally, have raised her, everything,
Right.
they bought her a gift. Her gift was a Hermes bag,
Yeah.
and she
Very
posted
beautiful.
it. Yeah, that's expensive, but why not? You deserve it.
Mm-hmm.
You're living a good life. Your husband, he has his own contract deal. He has his own athletic, endeavors. So,
Mm-hmm.
and if I'm not mistaken, I think she's pregnant.
Oh
She
wow.
was pregnant while at the Olympics. I have to Google that, but I believe that that was one of the reasons why she wanted to retire, is the fact that they're expecting.
That's black girl magic, man.
But listen, you have that baby while you tumbling, boo boo. Like, listen, you.
Come on, Tumble.
But right. But how many times do we see this when a child grows up and get these type of accolades, this type of notoriety, this fame, and a strange parent, estranged parent, is now wanting to be involved? I mean, you had Jim Jones. His mama, he is in 2018. He did a whole show about her being him going to get her out of the crack house.
Ooh,
Then you
man.
have what we mentioned, Keisha Cole,
Yeah,
her mom, and
yeah.
her
And
sister.
father.
Right.
Well, yeah, she found the whole family, right? Yeah.
The whole family. And even though she was raised by foster parents and in a different situation, and she acknowledged them,
Right.
she still felt some type of obligation to the other parents.
Right.
And
To have some sort of relationship. Yeah.
yeah, it's like who else was it? It was who
Tyler
was it?
Perry. There's a
Tyler
lit. There's a
Perry.
Usher Raymond, LeBron James. It's a whole. It's too many, in my opinion.
And even Little Scrappy on Love and Hip Hop. He
Yeah.
had to, that episode that I watched was when he was really dealing with those deep rooted scars.
Yeah.
And you could just see it in his face. Like his mom, Mama D, portrays, oh, I'm the queen of this castle. But he was like, I was in the whorehouse with you. I was in the crack house with you. Like, that's not a place for me to be at just because you had me with you. I saw what you were doing to get what you needed.
Mm.
Like, he went in hard and she just had to sit there. And then you could tell that she didn't want to own the accountability of it because of where she is in her career,
Yeah.
because she's made up a career of her own. So it's like, when is it enough? When do you, as a parent, accept the fact that you are not welcome, even though you're acknowledged?
Right. Listen, Little Scrappy. I'm hoping and I pray that he is working through that with the professional, because somewhere, somehow in life, I don't want that to show up negatively and he react or respond out of that, because that place is
Oh,
unhealed.
he did. That was
That's
what
good.
that whole episode was. It was
Yeah.
horrible.
Oh man, man.
It was bad.
I
I've seen hurt on men before.
yeah,
That was a different level of hurt because it's like I still respect you even though.
yeah,
And it was that look he had in his face, the hurt, the anger,
yeah,
all of that. And it's like, you know, it was a lot. You could
yeah. I
tell
can
it was,
imagine.
yeah,
Yeah,
it was a lot.
yeah. And most times men, they want to protect their mothers and they want to be, especially because they're not sure, what exactly, and sometimes they are aware of what the mother had to endure or deal with, in her upbringing.
Mm,
And through lack of experience or knowledge or knowing how to raise a kid, oftentimes they make mistakes. Right? We've talked before on this platform that parents aren't given a handbook. When they leave the hospital with
right.
the baby, right? They're trying to figure things out, and sometimes we don't often give them grace. They may not be the best parents, but and a lot of times, or I'll speak for me. A lot of times, I feel like they did the best that they could do with the tools that they
Yeah.
had, right?
I will agree
Um,
with that.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. Even myself, I knew or I know that I did not want that level of responsibility from a very young age. It was just too much. I knew that. So even just for my mom to be able to do the things that she needed to do and make the sacrifices and the choices that she made just so that we were good,
Mhm.
you know what I mean? Kudos, to her. And I knew my father, not that he was as present as I would have liked for him to be. But and I mentioned it earlier. Sometimes parents show up when they can, right?
Right.
So her, the
According
mother.
to their ability.
Right, right. So maybe at this point in life, and Simone, you do whatever feels good for you. But the
Mhm.
sister has already come to a place where she can accept her and listen to at least what she has to say and open her life up to her. But all parents, I feel like, go through that. My father is not the father that he is or was to me as he was with the younger siblings that I have, right?
Right.
And I acknowledge I could see that, right? I don't hold any ill will towards any of them, right? There's separate, sections of us, so to speak, but all of which how he parented was very different.
Right.
My brother and I, who my mom raised. Although we were in the same house, we have very different outlooks on life and how we want to live our lives. And he is who he is. My brother, he is who he is. But again, all of that has to do with the parents and how active or inactive they were. And
Or
like you talked about,
how healthy they were.
right,
Because
right.
it was something on TikTok, it was a podcast, and they said, the lady asked, she said, how do you know, well, what causes a child to thrive?
Mm,
And the man was like, a father being in the house. She said, absolutely not. She said, it's the mental and the emotional well-being of the mother that causes a child to thrive. And I stand 10 toes down with that,
yeah,
because I love my dad
yeah.
100,000%. But his absence was good.
Mm,
I don't know who I would be if his presence was there.
okay,
One, because he was an alcoholic at that time.
okay.
So where would I have been if his presence would have been there? But his absence allowed for, and I tell everybody, who asks, I don't have a daddy issue. That's
Mm,
not a reason for my sexuality. That's not a reason for anything. I had a Thurman issue,
okay,
because I seen how he was able to love his other daughter. And then
okay.
at one point, I'm like, well, I would love that for myself. And me and him had that conversation.
Mm-hmm,
He's excellent. And I'm glad to be able to benefit, to be able to experience
mm-hmm.
that relationship with him, because I could not tell you where we would be if he was present in the state that he was in.
Gotcha, gotcha. Now,
And
did y'all
then,
have?
go ahead.
I'm sorry. Did y'all have that conversation as an adult, or was
Yeah,
that at? Okay.
we actually had it when I was like either 30, well, I think I was 30 or 33. And
Oh, grown, grown.
it started out bad,
Oh, really?
because one, my dad, he would show up every now and again. We
Okay.
knew who he was. It wasn't a thing. But he would show up every
Okay.
now and again. But one day he inboxed me at 33. He inboxed me. And his opening statement was, hey, when you see Angie, which is my middle sister,
Mm-hmm.
tell her to give me a call. And something lit in me like a kerosene heater.
Oh, kerosene.
And I went to, brr, don't you ever in the blinkety blink reach out to me, and you don't even have the decency to say, hey, how are you doing? I haven't spoken to you in years, but you're calling me about a daughter. You,
Gave it
this
to
is me.
him.
I fed him everything. And we end up having a verbal conversation about it. And
Okay.
his statement was, he said, you never needed me. That's why I never reached out. I said, I get that. And I had to explain to him why I never needed him. I said, I never needed you because when I was 10, you told me, if I ever need you, make you my last choice. And I held on to that like the brown of my skin.
Oh man.
That's why I never needed you. That doesn't mean I didn't want you.
Mm,
I wanted to know. It was times where when I was younger and he was there, I had my dad. I felt safe. We spent time together, whether it was against your will or not. You wasn't abusive towards me.
uh-huh.
And his father loved me. I'm named after that man. So there were times. So it's like we had that conversation, and it wasn't that, oh, I don't know what, him and my mom, what all that ain't got nothing to do with me.
Right.
What happened is I took it upon myself to intentionally love him.
Mm-hmm.
And even as a kid, I don't care if it was something I handmade, I sent him a card, I sent him a present for Father's Day, birthday, and Christmas, Father's Day, birthday, and Christmas over the years, because you're going to love me.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're not, you're going to realize I'm the best thing that you ever created and you missed out on.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel that every seed that was sown in that manner allowed me to be in the place that I am now, that I can truly, honestly say, I have such an awesome dad.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. And he's
That's great.
amazing. Yeah.
Yeah.
And, even with the situation with my mom, we had those difficulties growing up because of how she was treated.
Mm-hmm.
She didn't want girls, she wanted boys.
Mm-hmm.
She really didn't like me. You know what I mean? That's just the bottom line. Growing up, she really didn't. She
Mm-hmm.
loved me, but she really didn't like me. I was brown skinned. They wanted light skinned. She wanted boys. I didn't fit the bill, you know. But when I matured and went through my cycles of forgiveness, I realized she could do what she could do according to her ability, mentally and emotionally.
Right.
But if I had to be reincarnated today and could choose my parent, I would still choose her.
I don't know that I would say that.
Really? Why not?
Absolutely not. What? So again, if I'm being honest, I would choose my mom, right?
Mhm.
But my father, I would say, I think I would say no. And the reason I would say that is because I'm the oldest,
Mhm.
and it was far too many times that I had the experience of watching him parent other people's kids.
Yeah.
So for me, I can't for the life of me understand or come to a good solution as to why you didn't feel as though I needed what you were easily giving
Right.
these other women, these other kids.
Right.
But
I
that's
can
that's
get
a
that.
two-sided coin for me also, because those women knew about your other kids. And they was cool with your behavior in the house. That's a
Well,
whole
back
totally another
then,
show.
you think about that. But think back then, it was about the man. And
Yeah.
you get what I'm saying? So it was kind of like, long as I got my man.
I
And
hear
my
what
mom
you're
was that
saying.
type of person. She just had to have a man. She was
Yeah.
willing to sacrifice our safety
Ah,
for a man,
yeah. Yeah.
which is hence why I left at age 15,
Yeah.
because it was okay as long as he was there. It was okay when you got married for the second time, didn't even tell your children. I found out because everybody, your friends from work, was at your wedding. I was in a different city at church. I'm finding out through the grapevine that you had a whole wedding and you didn't even
Mm,
invite your children. And then this man turned out to be the crackhead of all crackheads. Like, and that's not a joke. I'm talking about the day he was walking down the street with a 36-inch big back TV on his shoulder, crackhead. That's some
man.
strength that I don't know about. And you married him knowing knowing that he dropped you off to work one day and was in Fayetteville, North Carolina before you got off of work with your car, and I had to come pick you up. You married this man knowing that he took all of my little sister's Christmas and sold it, and I had to go find toys and bicycles for my little sister because she could not wake up on Christmas without nothing.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
when it came down to men back in them days, they needed that safety of a man, which honestly, emotionally, it made me not want to be with a man.
Mm,
And I remember that prayer. I said, if I have to choose a man over my children, I do not want to be with a man.
man. You just undisturbed a part of my life that I completely forgot about.
Oh Lord.
Man, listen, listen. So it's a couple things. Let me back up. So right, that was great information. So I appreciate you sharing that. I would say that fathers are significant in the sense that they in a lot of ways affirm who you are, right?
Mm.
And especially for girls, right? And not to say that single parents or single mothers can't do the job. I'm not saying that. what I am saying, and I told my mother this at one point. I said, there's things that you need from your father that your mother can't give you. She just doesn't have
Right.
those tools. She just doesn't have it, right? Isn't it? Not that she, she can't raise a successful black, woman or a successful black man, but there's things that they need, right? I will say for me, I know that the lack or the absence of my father is why I treat men differently. It's why I expect differently from my sons and my nephew. It's why I look at men differently in terms of relationships or friendships. I can't be your friend if you can't take care of your kids. You can't break
I
bread
get
with
that.
me if you can't take care of your kids. We can't talk, have a conversation, shoot the shit. We can't do none of that
None of it.
if you can't take care of your kids.
And what I hear is the level of safety, because as a girl, your father loves you by protecting you.
Sure.
So a father, in my opinion, gives his son his worth, and he shows his daughter her worth
Mm-hmm.
by protecting, by providing. But as a son, my job is to show you your value in this world by the actions that I do. That's how you learn. We
Right.
go by how we feel. So I get that,
Right.
because you didn't have that protection. You didn't have that I don't want to say manly love, but it's a different type of, it didn't speak to that feminine side of us. And I get that
Right.
100,000%.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
but I'm with you. If you are a sorry A,
Yeah.
but it does show us how we treat our boys different.
Oh, for
I have
sure.
a different expectation for every boy or young man that's in my life.
Absolutely. Yep.
I rather show you how to fish to feed you for a lifetime, where my girls, I give them a fish to
Mm-hmm.
make sure that they're taken care of.
I get it. I get it.
But is that good or bad?
Uh so for me, I'm gonna say it feels great, but so that's just how I feel, right? But I do feel you when you said, when you mentioned earlier. So in my early 20s, right, I had this guy that I dated, and we dated for a long time, at least 2 or 3 years or something like that, right? So I remember, and we lived in Atlanta, so this was, gosh, like right before the Olympics. And he and I we lived in the same house. We had an apartment together,
Mhm.
and he found out that he had a daughter. I had already told him years before, listen, I'm not doing deadbeat baby daddies. That
Right.
ain't something I'm into. And he knew down the line, like, this what my expectations was. And I'm in my 22, 23, early, I'm young enough but I know this based on my experience or the absence of a father.
Right.
So he gets a call one day. Hey, my mom says this girl over at the house, and she got this baby, and it looked like me, or it looked like her, somebody, right? Whatever.
Mhm.
So I told him right then, I said, listen, I don't know what you got to do, but you got to go figure out if that's your kid. I don't want you to choose your kid over me, even if it's me.
Right.
I
Right.
will not contribute to the same thing that caused disruption in my house. Well, I can't even say it caused disruption in my house, but cause issues in my life or that affected me. I will not
Right.
contribute to it. So I
Right.
don't know what you gotta do, bro, but you need to go figure out if that's your kid. Long story short,
Is this
I
kid?
called the furniture people, y'all can't come get this shit because I ain't paying for it.
No.
I'm out of here. True story.
Wow.
True story. I told him, and it was a lot of trauma, and it was, I'm sure I caused him a lot of pain. I was in pain too, but at the same time, I knew I can't keep laying down with you, dude. And you got a kid out there, and this kid, like, I think at that time, she was like 7 or 8. She was old enough to know. She was old enough to call you.
Whoa.
She was
Oh,
like
she's
8 years old.
wow.
But the girl had lied and said, well, no, this somebody else kid. And so there was some things that was out of his
Right.
control. But at the same time, I blamed him in the sense that You knew when she was a kid that it was a possibility because she was sleeping with the
You
mama.
should you
And
should
you should have,
acknowledge it. Yeah.
exactly, exactly. And we wouldn't be right here right now because I assure you, I never would have said nothing to you if I knew you had somebody else's kid out there. I just ain't trying to be nobody baby mama.
Right. But
So, but
then,
yeah, I
but
feel you on that. I man, listen, I ain't
your
even gonna
baby
say his
mama
name.
died.
Okay. Well, yeah, now. Yeah, I'm a man. You know what I'm saying? But there's no way I could have ever contributed I just couldn't do it, man. I could that no.
No, I get that. I Yeah, the only man that I actually dated, he didn't have kids, so I was going to be his child's mother by any means necessary, and I was trying to
Yeah.
figure out what that any means was because, sir, I don't want it.
Okay.
Oh
Man,
God, oh, yeah, I
listen,
didn't want it at. Oh
it's
God, I'm
getting real.
flipping. He was a
Okay.
beautiful man, but no, I get it. But one thing that we also have to understand why it's so important for fathers is because when you get that last name,
Yeah.
it gives you identity.
Yeah.
And so to me, when there's a father mother structure, that father gives you that last name to give you a covering in that identity.
Mm-hmm.
I am a young. I hold that
Mm-hmm.
name very proudly. But in that home, the mother is supposed to teach you how to cultivate that name.
Mm-hmm.
The dad doesn't do that. It's the mom's job to cultivate it, to make that name stronger emotionally and mentally, because they're the ones that's investing in the child. So, fathers, and if you hear us, you have such a weight of this, one with your daughters, because it's not so that they won't turn gay. Screw that. It's not that they won't be fast in the tail, but let's look at it. What causes people to reach out because they don't know they're pretty?
Mm-hmm.
I would have loved to hear, I hear it now, but I would have loved to have heard my father tell me how pretty I was because I had a grandmother who told me I wasn't.
Mm-hmm.
I had a mother that I never heard it, I just knew,
Okay.
but it wasn't, look at you, pretty, nothing. I didn't hear that. So it would have felt good to know what it felt like for a man to tell me that I'm pretty and it was in a safe space.
Yeah, absolutely.
Even with the boy, not to show him what a man should be, because again, there is so fluid to what a man should be, but to create responsibility
Mm,
as they progress into manhood. The
absolutely.
Bible tells us to train a child in the way they should go. That's not man or woman. That is be responsible, be kind, do this, pay a bill, show us this, in the way that you should go. And
Mm-hmm.
if as a parent, you're not taking that responsibility, and even as parents and these younger generations, they be like, well, I didn't have a father, so I don't know. You do know. It's some natural innate abilities that just say, I need to do this. Or you can Google it. You can YouTube how to be a parent. You can chat GPT how to
What?
be a parent,
That's crazy, yo.
or make the conscious decision to do opposite of what you saw.
Yeah, yeah,
You know it's wrong to touch a baby in an inappropriate way. You know that's wrong.
yeah.
There's nothing in this good earth that says that baby deserve an adult experience. So you can't play me like that.
Yeah, yeah. You know what? I was just gonna say, as you were talking, it was very clear to me that even in their absence, we still have the know-it-all to be able to say, okay, even though my experience may not have been the best or ideal, I can now say that didn't work for me and do something different. A lot of people have. Simone, she could have harbored that, and it caused her to be mentally unstable. And I don't know that it did or didn't, right?
Yeah.
Or others like Usher Raymond, same thing. His father wasn't present. He didn't show up till he was um well into fame. LeBron James, same thing. But they still knew and or did the opposite of what they didn't even see.
Right.
They had no
Because again,
example.
exactly, no example, but they had, see, and I think I see a lot of people on social media that be like, oh, the mother, I'm the father too. Let's back up. What about parent? There should not necessarily be a gender role of a parent. Just because you had to be the all in all parent, you chose that joker you slept down with. You knew he was trash
Okay.
then. You
Listen,
knew he was trash at that point. That's not our problem. You decided to lay down with the trash man.
there's no
It's
return policy.
it's not, it's not. So as a parent, your job is to provide a life that that child should do not have to recover from.
Yes, that part.
And I think that's what we miss. That doesn't mean you have to do everything perfect. That
Right.
means you are adult enough to say, if I have to discipline my child, I'm disciplining them in a manner that they don't have to go seek counseling or go to the doctor because I done twisted their arm because I can't control my anger.
Yeah,
Because these
absolutely.
children will run amok in your emotions and you be like, I just can't take it.
Listen, at least they'll try. They'll
They,
try.
yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
And it's just, and no, and some people, they have to own and be accountable that you're just a horrible parent. And I joke about it a lot, and I'm going to say it now, and this is my opinion. But like, even when it comes down to heterosexuals and, and same sex couples, typically we plan for our child that we're having together.
That is very true.
Whether we're looking through a book or flipping through a catalog online, we're planning this situation. So there's a more emotional investment other than finding out you're pregnant and I guess I'm just gonna be a mama.
Oh, oops.
That's a different experience
Yeah.
because if a lot of those parents who got pregnant young had to be was truthful, they'd be like, no, I didn't want this. Either my mama made me have them, I
Yeah.
couldn't afford to get rid of them. It's
Yeah.
against my religion to get rid of them. You would
Yeah.
have chosen a different path. And then now you're posting this ugly baby or this ugly teenager on their first day of school. Oh, my baby, I'm so proud of. No good way. You didn't even like that baby.
I can't co-sign with that, man.
Okay, you know some of them babies is ugly. I'd be looking at them like I would not be happy right now.
Listen, I'm just
Like,
thankful.
I can't do it. It's like, and they don't. And my thing is, be honest. You got pregnant young. It was whether it was a mistake or an accident. It happened. You wasn't in love with that baby when you first saw it because you're dealing with the fact that
All right, you froze up right there. Maybe that was, your internet telling you that that wasn't gonna work. But I 100% agree. I think that oftentimes people look at same-sex relationships and they don't realize that we have the ability to be able to partner and to parent effectively and raise children that can go off into the world and be productive citizens. And it's not a manner of which we're raising them to be gay. You know what I mean? So it's a misconception that often happens, but we are more than capable of taking care of things. So um I, for me, will always say that I knew very early on that I didn't necessarily again want to parent or do have those kind of responsibilities very early on. But I will say that I am blessed enough to be able to have the ability to co-parent with my wife, and I've existed in other relationships and have carried on with other people in terms of parenting. Like right now, poor baby is not feeling well, and he's here with me today. Actually, he's got a fever. It's okay, baby. It's okay. Yeah. So as we wait for Jay to come back on, what I'm gonna also say is that there were some other people that we looked up that did not have parents present in their life, and then at some point they decided to show up, right? As we mentioned earlier, Usher Raymond, he was one of the gentlemen that was on the BET Awards. You back, Jay?
Yeah,
I
somebody ugly baby daddy done kicked me off.
Yeah,
That's what happened.
that's exactly what it was. It was that mojo that they put on you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, they was like, my
Yeah.
child ain't ugly. Yes, they are. Hey, baby.
Yeah. No, as you were trying to get your internet connection back up, I had to grandparent my godson, my grandson. I'm sorry, not my godson. He's not feeling well today. He actually has a
Yeah,
fever, and he woke up and started, crying. So I've got him today.
you had to do your
But
due diligence.
yeah, yeah, yeah. But I was just talking about Usher Raymond, and he
Mhm,
was just on the award show not too long ago, maybe a month or so, on BT, and he was talking about the dynamics of his upbringing. You know how he had a bunch of men in his life that were not necessarily his father. And then, so when I did some research, he did reconnect with his father later in life, but he ended up
mhm,
being very sickly. And as we talked about last week, a lot of times when men are in there, get to a place or a stage where they're not
mhm.
feeling well or their age, then they start reaching back out to people in
Right.
relationships, trying to mend and heal those things. And it could be the case. Well, I don't know if that's the case for Simone, but she's gonna have to decide for herself. That's what
Yeah,
I'll
and
say about
and I think in her own time, and she will, but she's young. Let her enjoy her life
it.
while
Yeah,
you do the checkout at Save a Lot. You're not
yeah,
getting this dollar. And if she
yeah,
decide to give you a few little dollars, then you be happy. But at the end of the day, there's consequences to your actions. And
yeah,
just because we share the same mitochondria doesn't mean that you're entitled to anything. And I had a situation with my younger sister.
hmm
Her father, she was a oops baby, and she should know that by now.
One
No, she
time for the
was.
oops.
Yeah,
I
she
could
was
have
a
been the
oops
oops.
baby. And so her last name,
Oh,
I gave her my last name for the purpose of not being separated in our house.
okay,
Because the person who feels that he's her father had the last name of the person that we're pretty set who is her father.
okay.
And so it would have just caused too much confusion. That's just what I felt. And so I called my dad and I asked him, I said, do you mind if I give my little sister my last name? I mean, it was mine. And he was like, I don't care, and that's how it was. But when this individual, the guy, came to the house, she was born in August, this was in December. And he looked at her and he said, I don't want to have any. I remember like it was yesterday. He said, I don't want to have
Mm,
anything to do with her because I don't want to mess up my family. And when
dang.
I heard that, I purposed in my heart that he would never have nothing to do with her at age 13, because I was
Hmm.
13 when my sister was born. And when she was 13, he called from the hospital and he was on his deathbed. And he said, could you bring her to see me? I want her to meet my family. And I said, no, absolutely, flat out no. I said, you didn't want to see her 13 years ago. You don't have the privilege and the joy to end your life when she couldn't be a part of your life. So she's not going to be a
Right.
part of your life now. So I hung up on him after I said everything else. 'Cause my mouth was real bad back then.
Of
I
course you
would
did.
say I was getting over a lot of hurt. So I just say whatever. And I still kind of do, but I'll
Yeah.
say whatever and don't care. And my mama, why would you do that? That's my decision. And I told her, it's not your decision. I raised her. Pointing at me and my mama had words, but she knew you couldn't stand your ground when it came down to my sisters because I was there. You wasn't. Like we gonna stand on this. And so, and now my sister is like, well, I noticed that there's not a name on my birth certificate. And I explained to her.
Okay.
And I told her, I know where his children are, and I will go with you. And I explained to her why I did what I did.
Okay.
Whether anybody feel like, well, that was your decision to make, it was. You wasn't there. You didn't live in an abandoned house with two little kids while your mama was out gallivanting for days and for weeks.
Yeah.
So you wasn't there. So it was my decision. And I stand by that.
Yeah. Yeah.
But at the end of the day, whether you feel that where he was her father, you got a right to know he didn't want her.
Right.
So when you're ready and you're dying, because he died like 2 or 3 days right afterwards. It was real
Yeah.
quick.
Oh, wow.
You don't get the chance to enjoy this beautiful little girl who you took one look at in December, because I knew it was Christmas because we had a Christmas tree up, and you brought her some wooden blocks that was red, green, and blue. You made a decision then that you didn't want to be a part, and you're going to own that, and you're going to die with it. And
Yeah.
and if I see him in the afterlife, I would still say the same thing.
So how did she feel about when you told her that, or you denied her father from allowing access to her? How did she feel about it?
She
Was
understood.
she
She's a
understanding?
Leo. She's
Okay.
very analytical, even though a
Okay.
lot of her thoughts are ran by emotion. She's very analytical. She understood. And
Okay.
I told her why. I told her
Okay.
the position that we were in, all the parties that was involved, and we
Mm-hmm.
just didn't. It was, to me, the best decision, because we didn't know that family as children. And I know how my mama is. My mama
Mm-hmm.
would have forced us to go over there, and I can't let my little sister go to somebody's house who have grown children and could do anything to her because, oh, you that bastard child. And
Okay.
then I have to
Gotcha.
be in jail for burning your house down.
Allegedly.
No, that would have happened. There's two things I didn't play about then, and those were the two kids that I had to do something strange for a little piece of change to make sure my sisters ate. You don't
Yeah.
you don't have that right.
Yeah. Yeah. I get it. I get
And
it.
at that time I know what it felt like for your daddy to reject you in
Yeah.
your face. And I had to do everything that I could conceive to do to protect her. So
Mm-hmm.
I stand by my decision.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. No, I applaud you for being able to even make that call. I don't know. And I think I've mentioned this before. My father, although I'm the oldest, I have siblings under me, and I know all of them. I'm blessed enough to know all my siblings. I have a sister just under me, like 4 years. I think it's 4 years. And he wasn't the best father for her either. The difference
Mhm.
between she and I is she won't even acknowledge his existence to this day.
Oh, dang.
Like, it's like he just arrived here, like, it's just, whatever. But and then we have other siblings, that have a relationship with them. I don't know if it's the best, but like you said, there was times in your life where you get to a place where you have to have those difficult conversations with your fathers or your mothers,
Mhm.
especially if they were absent for some portion of that time, and be able to say, hey, this is how it affected me. And like you, I did it several different times, and most of the earlier times, go ahead, baby, go sit down, it was not nice. You know what I'm
It
saying?
wasn't.
uh
Because
but at
they
the
don't,
same
a lot
time,
of them don't own it. A lot
right,
of them don't
right,
own it. They don't even
right.
acknowledge that that happened.
Yeah. Yeah. And some of it, again, and I have to say, and I don't even know my father's story, right? I don't know that he had a horrible upbringing or what the dynamics of his mother and father's relationship was, and how he took that in, what he absorbed, what he saw, what his experience was. I don't know. I never asked, actually. So that may be a question that, he and I have at some future date. But at the same time, it for me, it didn't offer any excuse, right? I wasn't a part of the solution or the deal. That was
Right.
between my mom and you. Y'all decided that y'all was doing what y'all was doing. You know what I mean? I was out of that, which is
With
why I was
Roberta
going
Flack playing in the background. That was your
okay.
decision.
But I knew when I came of age that I had the decision. I had the ability to decide whether that was something I wanted to do, right? How I wanted to contribute. And I just chose not to,
Right.
right? But as we're talking about, parents and clout chasing and so on and so forth, I am not famous yet. But
No, you are.
please, right? Well, yeah, I guess the public opinion depends on who we're talking about. Please do not come out of the woodworks. Do not come asking, what I'm saying? If we don't already have a relationship, you don't already rock with me, you know what I'm saying? And you don't know what actual day my birthday is on, you know what I'm saying? Different things of that nature. Don't come later. And I'm gonna tell you now why. Because
Right.
if you didn't have no love for me then just keep it moving.
Keep that same energy.
Exactly.
Keep that same energy.
Exactly.
Why?
And it's no love
Because
lost.
and because it didn't exist.
Yeah.
I can't something that wasn't there. And if I've learned, it's like wait, so you got some black feminists? I'm black. Feminists, no, I'm a very, very strong and opinionated and assertive lesbian, softly dominant, if you must say. But that's fine. Anyway,
You're on
so
YouTube, buddy. We have other platforms. That's
yeah,
cool
you're
though.
on YouTube.
Just stay on,
Anyway,
stay on. You might
yeah,
learn
just
something.
just hold on. Maybe you'll learn something. Maybe you're missing a father. But I feel that like I said, in certain instances, absence was the best.
Yeah.
And because I learned how to see the value in each side, it helped me be a better person and a better parent because I didn't become a parent to say, oh, I'm gonna give my child everything because I didn't have. No, I'm gonna give
Mm,
my child everything because your mama got everything. And I want you to have those same experiences. And I feel that, whether that's just to me, that's just life.
yeah.
I want you to have great experiences so that when you're older, you have that same emotional strength that I had to get from the what is it, hard knocks. I had
Yeah.
to create this strength that no, I'm positioned now emotionally, mentally, physically, and
Hmm.
financially to give my child a life that she doesn't have to recover from, to
Hmm.
give my 11-year-old a life that he doesn't have to recover from. And anybody know I will go toe to toe, back to back for him
Hmm.
because I've been there all 11 years.
Yeah.
So, there's no different. And I think that's the beauty of it. It's not about a missing father or a missing mother, or what role I play. I play the role as a parent.
Hmm.
And my wife, she jokes a lot, especially with the other kids. She quickly tell them, y'all was priority partners. So y'all experiences was different
Yeah.
versus these Blue Cross and Blue Shield babies. They got a little
Yeah.
bit more cushion. And for a lesbo, that's a lot of kids problem. Anyway, so,
I'll take care of him. I'm gonna take care of him
so
right now.
yeah, yeah. And I'm
There you go.
like, no, that's not it. It's the people who don't know how to. And you know what? I do want to touch on something he said. Just because your children have different fathers, we don't know the situation. You could have been married 3 times and you
Hmm.
produced a child in that situation. It doesn't matter. And then when it comes down to, same-sex relationships that are open in their homes to a lot of children that was neglected by self-made heterosexuals.
Hmm.
So don't ever put in a negative feat when we're soliciting our love to care for something you didn't want to love.
Mm. That was big. That was big.
And that's just the truth. It's so many children. I'm a foster parent. I'm not active anymore, but there's so many children that are out there that we're not allowed to have access to
Hmm.
when we can love them even the more. And it's all about being healthy. So
Yeah.
circling back, clout chasing. Matter of fact, let me touch on this real quick. Same thing when we use donors.
Mm.
You have to have that clause in that contract When you see my baby with her multi-million dollars on TV, you can't come running, sir, talking about, hey, I was that test tube. We're not
Yeah.
doing that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I
So how
mean,
would
and
you feel
honestly,
about
it
siblings though?
I
How
feel
would
the
you feel
same
about
way
her
too.
siblings? Oh,
So
really?
so one, going back to like Keisha Cole's siblings, I think it
Okay.
was clout chasing because of, what it was. I can't think of her
Yeah.
name. Yeah, her.
Uh,
Clout chasing. But like her siblings now, she knows her siblings that she's around all the time. She hasn't met her biological siblings on the donor side. We keep
okay.
in contact with them so that when the time is right, we're all
Okay.
going to let them be, they're going to meet. I don't see why.
Okay.
She loves to have, is those my cousins? Is that my, she loves to family collect anyway.
Yeah.
And we're preparing for that because
Okay.
we knew that that would be a part of the process.
Sure.
But yeah. And at first I was like, I don't want to be bothered. But then I'm like, what if she fall in love with somebody that's really her brother?
Wow. Yeah.
You have to be careful.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. For sure. Listen, I was
But
gonna also add that um even though we're both in same-sex relationships or marriages, um with the other kids, other parents, right? I always leave the door
mm,
open for them because I don't want them to feel as though they don't have a presence or a role within the family dynamics, right? So even
right.
if at some point, one of the kids go off and be, a superstar or find fame or whatever, right? Maybe they become one of the next Bill Gates or what have you. I want you to still have ties or connections to relationships, the people who have always loved you. And nor did myself or your mother deny your other parent and or siblings access to you because they are not together. That's key. And that takes
That
maturity.
that's very key.
Yeah.
But then we have to hold those people responsible and accountable for their
Mhm.
absence. Because I
Mhm.
can't think of his name, but it's a white guy. He's in the music. He's a producer or something. And he was having an open, candid conversation with his father. And he
Mhm.
was like, listen, you were not there, but I accepted you into my life.
Mm.
However, you're asking me for a house paid for. That's 850,000. My mother is asking me to pay for her house. He said, add all of that up and just think about the weight that you all are putting on me because of who I am.
Mm.
So when you have people clout chasing, well, that's my child. You wouldn't be here if it was for me. You're absolutely right. And if it wasn't for you, be in that experience with my mom to get me here, but then you was only there for the experience.
Yeah.
You did not assist in the upbringing. So then therefore you really don't know me. And you should, and if this is resonating with you, even with fathers, especially in the church, who don't want to have to deal with their gay child,
Mm.
you're missing the love of God because you're doing the absolute opposite of the word that you want to preach and beat somebody down about.
That part.
And I know plenty, and I'm pretty sure you're gonna see this.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
We
because of,
we've talked about it.
and we invite you into a conversation. Yeah. We invite this conversation because how can a God that is all about love make you reject a child that you birthed, you created because of a choice that they're deciding to live for their happiness?
Yeah.
We serve two different gods. So we
Clearly.
invite, because we opened this up before. So
Yeah.
we invite this conversation when we talked about church and sexuality. And if you are a preacher, a man of God, especially a woman of God, and you have a child that you're not in relationship with, let's have that conversation because I want to know why. I'm not here to beat you up. I'm not in public, but in my head, you're down.
Yeah, man, that's a lot. That's a lot. And you know what? I can say for me, although I want to say I was well in like maybe 26, 27 before I actually, if you want to say call or what do you say, out of the closet or whatever the term is.
Mhm.
Um, or I should say, or openly acknowledge, right? So I'm, I was practicing before, but fully
He was
living in my
practicing.
authentic life, right? Being open and honest
Mhm.
about where I was with my sexuality or who I wanted to be or who I needed to be. I want to say I was about 25 or 26. So even after that, uh, my family knew or was aware, and what I guess I thought would happen within the family dynamics that I have. A lot of my family members are older.
Mhm.
And not my mom, she doesn't have siblings, so it was just her, and then my grandparents and all of my grandparents sisters and brothers. So I never felt as though it was going to be an issue, but I think I created that scenario in my mind. But oftentimes, like you said, there's
Mhm.
people who are in the ministry or who hold the position within the church, and if or should their child some way somehow find themselves in one of the alphabets, outside of what their pastor or their minister feels they
Right.
should be, right, then they are, all of a sudden they feel in some type of way as if it had anything to do with them, and now all of a sudden you don't love your
You
kids.
ain't had nothing to do with this. But and again, male. We can go on and on about what they how people interpret the
Yeah.
Bible as a religious practice when that is not what it is. We could put that on another episode. However, it's hurtful because you as a pastor, fathers or shepherds or mothers and shepherds a flock.
Mm-hmm.
You want them to respect you as a leader in a capacity of a mother or father, but you don't have that capacity in your own home.
Mm-hmm.
It talks about bishops. You have to have this type of leadership in your own home before you can
Mm-hmm.
lead a church. So if you have these dysfunctions, you are out of God's will, and you need to take a step back and figure out what's going on. Now, I'm not saying your child got older, they're acting up, and you told them, listen, I'm not going to tolerate your BS. We're talking about you not acknowledging or accepting that child because you stepped out and had a baby, Jamal Bryant, had, a child, or William Murphy. You done stepped out, or they're not living the life that you had identified for them because you didn't
Mm-hmm.
allow them to be who they wanted to be when they wanted to grow up.
Mm-hmm.
You got less money than Magic Johnson, and he's okay with EJ Jr. being 7 feet tall with his 6-inch stilettos on. He's okay with it.
Okay.
Why are you not?
Yeah. Yeah.
Or
Even
why do
Kirk
you feel
Franklin.
like your child, yeah, why do you feel like your child's life is going to open up hell for you? You're not going to ship what they ate. I promise you, when you stand before God, He is not going to say, I'm not going to let
What
you in
about?
because your child was gay. Nope, you can't sit here. This seat's taken. I promise you, He's not going to say that.
Yeah.
But we want
I
the
agree.
conversation. Yeah,
Oh, I for sure, we definitely want the conversation. We
we
would
want
love
the
to get your
conversation.
perspective. Right, right. Because it could be valuable, right? It could add to someone else's, position in terms of how they're conflicted about how it is that they feel, right? And you may have some very good talking points to that. Not that it would make any sense to me, but hey, I would love to hear it.
You're right. It's like Jehovah's Witness. I listen, even though I'm
Yeah,
not going to pay you no bit of attention when you walk off.
right.
There's
I would not
nothing
be
you
there
going to say that's
Saturday
going to make me stand on that corner in that heat and hand out pamphlets. There's nothing that I want about that.
at all.
I had to have 3 blood transfusions. It ain't nothing you can say I needed to save my life. No,
Sure,
we don't serve the same God. And then you
sure.
telling me it's 144,000 gonna make it in. What if I'm 144 and one? You gonna tell me I ain't gonna make it? I
Listen,
don't
I
like
don't
those
know
odds. I don't like that. I don't like those numbers
at all.
at all.
Well,
I don't want it.
okay. Listen, I applaud again all the people who are open to receiving those absent parents after certainly after they have found fame or celebrity and at least having those conversations and
Yeah.
if you choose not that's your prerogative, you know what I'm saying. I would just say even if you're not uh, a celebrity or find fame, and at some point your parent who has been absent for X amount of years decides to show up, do whatever feels good or whatever sits right in your heart in terms of whether you need to listen to that person for your own personal closure or maybe y'all can have some sort of relationship as adults. Perhaps there was reasons or for your good that they weren't in your life, just like Jay said, that sometimes their absence is for your best or for your good. I could say for myself, I feel like I'm a much better person because I didn't have to endure some of the things that perhaps my siblings had to go through, even
Mhm.
though the father that we both share was present, or even present during
Right.
that time. So I would encourage everybody again just to kind of keep a regal mindset. Please reach out to us if you want to share your story. If something that we shared tonight rings true to you or you want to elaborate, then certainly again reach out to us on any of our social media platforms and share it with your loved ones.
Yes.
Maybe they want to be a part of the conversation. You had something else you want
Absolutely.
to say?
And if I could add this, yeah, I
Sure.
just want to say, and parents, be honest. Honesty would go a long way.
Mm-hmm.
If you know that your relationship is strained from your child because that's actually your daddy's child and it's their grand, be honest to say I could not love you because of this experience.
Mm-hmm.
I promise you it's not going to make them like you or hate you any worse. And if you can also be a parent enough to listen and to understand that their experience of hurt may not have been your intention, or you cannot connect with the hurt that you caused, doesn't mean you can't listen and understand.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you hit me, you didn't feel that hit. I felt it. So you have to allow me to interpret what that hit felt like when you hit me. And if you can do that, I promise you, you can, if you're in that situation where your child is distant from you, they have, grown and have these accolades and living the best life, and you want to be a part, you have to be okay with one being told no. You have to be
Mm-hmm.
okay with giving them space to forgive. And you
Mm-hmm.
have to have an open and honest conversation with them, not just, well, you don't understand how I felt. It doesn't matter how you felt. I'm telling you how it impacted me. And if you want to have that conversation, don't gaslight me. Listen. And I promise you, you'll have a breakthrough.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah,
And that's it.
absolutely. I again I want to encourage everybody, if you feel like that now is the time to have that conversation, pray about it or seek some sort of answer or response. We need a part two if the roles were flipped. Not quite sure what she means by
So
that.
are you
Shay, you
saying
want to
from like
elaborate?
yeah,
Oh, if the parents or so if the child comes to the parents and perhaps they have fame, is that what you going at,
because we
Shay?
done heard a lot about that. That's what happened to Kurt Franklin, Tamala
Okay.
Man, and David Man. It
Ah.
done happened with Monique.
Okay.
with these great.
Wait,
It even
Monique?
happened with Ricky Smiley. Yep,
Monique? What?
Monique, the comedian.
Yeah, she got a baby out there?
So her son was like, "You wasn't there when my child was born." She was like, "I was there. Here go the proof." Boom, 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 boom. You're an
Wow.
adult. Yeah, it was
Okay.
bad. Same thing with Carrie Ann Franklin.
Mm.
You want to take your moment, and say, "Hey, you wasn't there for me." Well, in what way? It wasn't like she was Mama Dearest.
Yeah.
Them
Gotcha.
kids, right? So I mean, we can definitely have a part two because it goes both
Yeah.
ways.
Yeah.
And how
Yeah. Yeah.
these
Yeah.
kids need to get their act together. Like you don't heard this.
Right.
I think it was what's his name? Shaq. Shaq said, "This is my money, not yours." He told his
That part.
kids that, which made them go and pursue their own dreams. I will help support you as
Yeah.
long as it makes sense.
Yeah.
But if you don't get 2 degrees, you won't get none of this cheese. And that was quote unquote his statement.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
So
No,
they're
actually,
not living the best life.
yeah. No, we can definitely revisit this and come from a different perspective. Again, we would love to have a guest on to offer their input, their 2 cents. We're certainly open to listen to
Absolutely.
that. But yeah, we definitely got some good stuff in the works. So y'all stay tuned, stay connected, stay linked up. Make
Okay.
sure y'all check out the social media platforms because we got some great, great, great shows coming up next. Um, anything else before we go, Jay? Before I sit this outro?
No,
Cool.
I
All right,
love
y'all
our
keep a regal
outro.
mindset, and we'll see y'all next week.